Good morning children, Saira. Welcome to part 1 of History chapter 10, that is 18th century political formations. Children, this is a very important chapter. In class 6, we learned about ancient history, right children? Next year, that is in 8th standard, we will be learning about modern or colonial history. This year, we learned about medieval history, right? So, basically, this chapter is a loop, okay, between your 6th standard and 8th standard history. So, children, like always, before we start, please keep your notepad and pen handy so that you can write down the important points that you feel. Children, it is very important for you to know that the period between 1700 to 1800 was the period of transformation. There were a lot of different changes that took place during this period. Okay. Now, before we proceed, let us understand what we are going to learn in this particular chapter. Okay. So, we are going to study about the crisis of the empire and later Mughals, Nadir Shah attack on Delhi, emergence of new states. Then we are going to learn about the old Mughal provinces, that is Hyderabad, Awadh and Bengal, and we are going to learn about the Watan Jagirs of the Rajputs. Okay. Then we are also going to learn about the seizing independence, the Sikhs, the Marathas and the Jats. Okay children. So this is what we are going to learn in this particular chapter. Of course, we are not going to learn everything together. We will be learning everything in parts as this lesson is very big. So please don't be nervous or don't feel scared just by looking at the length of the chapter. Understand it para by para, and I am sure you all will be able to understand it properly. Okay, understand the basic concepts properly. So let us begin now. Children, the 18th century was the period of transition for India. The Mughal Empire had started to decay during the last 25 years of the reign of Aurangzeb. Okay. So, children, if you look at the first map, okay, there are two maps given over here. Left hand side is the map of state formations in the 18th century, and the map on the right side is of the British territories in the mid 18th century. So let us begin with the left hand side of map first. Okay. So children, if you look at the map, we will see that something significant happened in the subcontinent during the first half of the 18th century. Okay. Now the dotted lines, okay, depicts the boundaries of the Mughal Empire in 1700. So, if you watch closely, you will see the boundaries of the Mughal Empire were reshaped by the emergence of number of independent kingdoms. Now, if you look at the other map, okay, the second map, both these maps, by the way, are there in your textbooks also children, so you can refer to them if the picture is not clear. So the second map, in the second map, by 1765, another power, that is British, had successfully grabbed major chunks of the territory in the eastern India. Okay, so basically what this map tells us is that the political conditions in the 18th century changed India, okay, dramatically and within a relatively short span of time. Now let us start with the next topic, that is the crisis of the empire and the later Mughals. Now children, in chapter 4 we have already learnt about the Mughal empire, right? How it reached its height of success and then how it started facing variety of challenges, and then towards the closing year of the 17th century it started declining, isn't it? Now what were the reasons for its decline? What were the causes of the decline? Let us understand it one by one. The decline was caused by number of factors. Emperor Aurangzeb had depleted the military and the financial resources of the empire by fighting a long fight in the Deccan. So what happened was, under Aurangzeb's successors, the efficiency of the imperial administration broke down. The later Mughal emperors could not keep a check on their powerful Mansabdars. Nobles appointed as governors, that is Subadars, okay, they often controlled the officers of revenue and military administration. This gave them extraordinary political and economic and military powers over vast region of Mughal empire. So children, as the governor, okay, consolidated their control over the provinces, the periodic remission of the revenue to the capital declined. Peasants and zamindari rebellions in many parts of northern and western India were caused by the pressures of mounting taxes. Later, Mughals were unable to arrest the gradual shifting of political and economic authority into the hands of provincial governors, local chieftains and other groups. So let us go through the crisis, the reasons of the crisis once again in short. Emperor Aurangzeb had depleted the military and financial resources of his empire by fighting a long war in the Deccan. There were inefficient successors, okay, and it became difficult for the latter Mughal emperors to keep a check on their powerful Mansabdars. The governors, that is Subadars, gave extraordinary political, military and economic power over vast regions of the Mughal empire, the result of which the government consolidated their control over the provinces. So basically these were the reasons, okay. Then peasants and zamindars, okay, rebellions added to the problems, right. Now let us move on to the rich harvest and empty coffers, okay. So children, this is an extract from your textbook. Let us go through it, children. The following is a contemporary writer's account of the financial bankruptcy of the empire. So, let us see what he says. The great lords are helpless and impoverished. Their peasants raise 2 crops a year, but their lords see nothing of either, and their agents on the spot are virtual prisoners in the peasant's hand, like a peasant kept in his creditor's house until he can pay his debt. So complete is the collapse of all order and administration that though the peasant reap harvest of gold, his lord does not see so much as a whip of snow. So basically this is the contemporary writer's account on the financial bankruptcy of the empire that time. Now children, during that time, there were other rulers, who attacked India. So now let us learn something about them. There was the ruler of Iran, Nadir Shah, who sacked and plundered the city of Delhi in the year 1739. So in between the economic and the political crisis, the ruler of Iran, that is Nadir Shah, sacked and plundered the city of Delhi and took away immense amount of wealth. And not only that, his invasion was followed by a series of plundering and raids by Afghan ruler Ahmad Shah Abdali, who invaded North India 5 times between the year 1748 and 1761. So children, if you can see here, left hand side topmost picture is of Nadir Shah and below that is the picture of Ahmad Shah Abdali. Children, the devastation of Delhi after Nadir Shah's invasion was described by contemporary observers. One described the wealth looted from the Mughal treasury as follows: 6 lakhs of rupees and some 1,000 gold coins, nearly 1 crore worth of gold ware, nearly 50 crore worth of jewels, most of them unrivaled in the world, and the above included the peacock throne. Another account described the invasion's impact upon Delhi. Those who had been masters were now in dire straits, and those who had been revered couldn't even quench their thirst. The recluses were pulled out of their corners. The wealthy were turned into beggars. Those who once set the style in clothes now went naked, and those who owned property were now homeless. The new city, Shahjahanabad, was turned into rubble. Nadir Shah then attacked the old quarters of the city and destroyed a whole world that existed there. So you can imagine the kind of plunder, the kind of loot, the kind of attack that happened that time. Imagine, they're talking of about crores of rupees, crores of jewels worth, being looted. So imagine the worth now if you count it. Like that time, crore was like too much, isn't it, children? So already under severe pressure, children, from all the sides, the empire was further weakened by competition amongst different groups of nobles. They were divided into two major groups, the Iranis and Turanis. For a long time, the later Mughal emperors were puppet in the hands of either one or the other of these two powerful groups. The worst possible humiliation was when two Mughal emperors, that is Farrukhsiyar and Alamgir II, were assassinated, and two others, Ahmad Shah and Shah Alam II, were blinded by their nobles. So this was the condition. So children, with this I end this part over here, but I want you all to read whatever we have done till now thoroughly. Okay, try to frame questions of the paragraphs, small questions, try attempting them, and try to relate this lesson with chapter 4. Then you will be able to understand it nicely. Okay, so goodbye for now. Take care and keep learning, children.